6 months ago, Andrew and I stopped loading new ads into this ad account. Were we closing shop? No. In fact, it's grown by $432,000. So what's going on here? We were running an experiment for what we're calling our hybrid traffic scaling method. And what's unique about it is that instead of picking between paid traffic and organic traffic, we combine them both, and it takes less than 30 minutes per week to manage. So stick around because in this video, we're going to walk through the exact method we use to generate these results. Andrew's going to explain the what and why. Pay attention because this is the secret sauce to how the system works. After, I'm going to take what you learned and walk through an AI agent build in N8N so that you too can run the process in under 30 minutes per week. Let's dive in.
So, although we use AI agents to operate our hybrid traffic scaling method, to have Facebook ads run itself, AI on its own is not what makes this work. Instead, what makes this work is what we call hybrid intelligence. And this is an important distinction because AI is hyped up these days and incredibly misunderstood and misused. And the expectations are mismanaged, especially in marketing. We have to remember that AI is artificial intelligence. And the key word here is artificial. On its own, it hallucinates, it produces slop, and most of its outputs don't hit the mark, especially when it comes to marketing and selling. But when you combine artificial intelligence with human intelligence, what we call hybrid intelligence, that's when you can build a system like what we've done here. When you build a system like this, you don't zero-shot prompt ChatGPT and then all of a sudden make $432,000. You combine your intelligence with AI to build a system that works for you even when you're not there. This system is born out of our principles as hybrid operators versus traditional operators. In particular, in solving problems with architecture, as opposed to solving problems with effort, especially relying with your hands on keyboard. In the age of hybrid intelligence, we don't want to solve problems with brute force and sweat. We also built to vanish, so our system can operate without us as opposed to building to just survive. It's the reason why this method of hybrid traffic takes us less than 30 minutes each week to manage. So now let's talk about the architecture of what allows us to build a Facebook ad system that runs itself with AI agents. The traditional operator tends to ask the question based on what's known as a false dichotomy that Alfred talked about earlier, which is when you're choosing between two things that you don't need to choose between. It's kind of like deciding, do I wear a shirt or do I wear pants when I go out to dinner tonight? It's a decision that doesn't exist in actual reality, but it does in imagined reality. So the traditional operator asks, should I go all in on organic or double down on ads? It's like asking, should I build the walls or install the roof for a home? You don't build a business by picking parts of the structure. You build the whole house. But here's what most traditional operators do. The organic believer posts, waits, hopes, and prays. And then the paid traffic warrior spends money, refreshes ads manager, stresses, and prays again. They're both praying, and that's the problem. It's a rain dance for both of them. Hoping for reach on the organic side, hoping for CPMs to hold and not increase on the paid side, hoping that something lands on both sides. But rain is unpredictable. You don't build cities or farming infrastructure on rain dances. You build irrigation systems with architecture. And as hybrid operators who leverage hybrid intelligence, we know the choice is no longer organic or paid. It's both because they unify together to become hybrid and deliver you an outcome, which is profitable new customer growth. It's like a sports team where some people set up the play and others score the points. They work together. That's what hybrid traffic gives you. It gives you a system where organic and paid work together by design, not by accident. Because traditional operators don't realize that their marketing isn't actually a system. It's a sequence of one-off actions, posts, launches, campaigns, stitched together by willpower and guesswork. But with hybrid marketing, when done right, it's not just a series of actions. It's a living system, a function inside your business with inputs, processes, and outputs. So here's the hybrid intelligence design of the system. And it's a simple system because as hybrid operators, we choose simplicity over complexity. So let me give you the overview of the steps first, and then we'll unpack each one with examples. So step one, we use AI to accelerate our ability to generate organic content at scale for us. You post thesis-driven status updates daily. These posts are not slop. They are crafted through hybrid intelligence, not generated with artificial intelligence. And there's a distinction there. in that we are crafting using hybrid intelligence between you and the AI. The second step is we allow Meta to populate the people who engage with the content into custom audiences that then get retargeted in step 3. So in step 3, what we do is we ensure that our ad account stays stocked up with always on ad creatives, and we don't micromanage it. We use hybrid bidding to lower our risk and allow us to keep our ad management time to less than 30 minutes each week. And then in step 4, conversions and sales come in through architecture as opposed to effort. We don't want to brute force our way to these conversions. We want to architect our way there. These 4 steps allow us to generate sales around the clock every day in less than 30 minutes per week, as opposed to 30 hours per week, which we did in the past. And again, as hybrid operators and not traditional operators, we design for architecture and not effort. We want to build to be able to vanish and take time off and not just survive. And we run machines in 2025 and beyond. We don't just run teams. So step 1 is hybrid content scaling. And we've done over 15 million views in the last month with this content through this hybrid process. And this is what the content looks like. This is what we call thesis-driven status updates. You state a thesis that your addressable market will resonate with. In this case, with the brand I Heart Dogs, which is a very large brand, you can see examples of them doing it here, and they're getting thousands of likes, hundreds of likes, and lots of people engaging with the page. And what's even cooler is when we do this, and we've been doing this for about a year now, but more intensely since winter of this year, is we are getting paid by Meta along the way. They've cut us checks every month through their bonus program because our content gets reach, just like those 15 million views in the last month. So in essence, and literally, they are paying us to make our ad system more hands-off and more effective for us. So in June over here, we got paid $653. And in July, we got paid $991. So again, it's not slop. People, humans, you and I, we do not engage with slop because we don't just rely on AI to craft this content, right? We're not just generating content with AI. We are crafting it with hybrid intelligence. These are humans liking, sharing, commenting our stuff and giving it scale. So then they're getting populated into our custom audiences in step 2. And also Meta is cutting us checks. And you can see here, some days our content is getting almost 1 million views in a single day. And on the low end, it's getting 250K views. Step 2 is we are using automated custom audience building. And this is where we allow Meta to populate people who engage with the content into custom audiences that get retargeted through our ads. And there is some nuance here. The first is that we build up engagement through on-platform activity. So when people like a post, when they share a post, when they comment, and they're actually reading the post, they get placed into custom audiences. That allows Meta to keep a record of who's done stuff with our page. The second nuance is we also have a link in the first comment of each post. So you can see here with this page, Dog Lovers, where the red arrow is, you can see that it leads to a link, pupvine.com, and it's a blog post. And the link is where extra magic happens because it's a link that goes to a blog post that is contextual to the status post that we make. And this gives Meta even more signal on who to add to our custom audiences. And on top of that, a portion of those people will end up browsing the website and browsing the store and then going off to buy stuff, not even having to be retargeted. So it's a hybrid benefit that we get. And then with step 3, what we have is always on ads in our ad account using hybrid bidding. The common pattern that you'll notice across top brands is that they have hundreds, if not thousands of active ads running at any given time. So see here with Purdy and Fig, they're doing, I think, 70 to 100 million a year now. 2,000 active ads right here. Ridge, 670 ads. Bamboo Earth, 300 active ads. Meta has been very encouraging of having more ads and more diversity. And Hormozy quoted Meta that the best advertisers test 11 times more creative than the average advertiser. So in our approach, because we optimize for architecture and not effort as hybrid operators, we make decisions that allow us to do that, which lead us to hybrid bidding. So we pair always on ads with it, so we keep our ad management time low. We leverage 2 types of bidding. The first is highest volume bidding through cost controls that Meta offers us. And the second is highest value bidding, which is also through cost controls. By using Meta's cost control functions, we're able to tell Meta not just how much budget we want to spend, but also how efficient we want the spend to be. So if you're working with Mark at Meta, right? He's your advertiser. Rather, he's getting you distribution through the advertising. When you don't use hybrid bidding, you say, hey, Mark, go spend $1,000 a day. That is my budget. right? And just get me sales. But when you use hybrid bidding, you tell Mark, hey, you can spend up to $1,000 a day, but only spend it and only spend portions of it if you can get sales at $30 per sale or make $3 for every $1 that you spend. And by using this hybrid bidding method, we're able to keep our ad management activity minimal because we've directed Meta what to do instead of just delegating what we want it to do. Directing is when you give important detail, like what your target cost per conversion is or what your ROAS goal is. Delegating, on the other hand, is when you give limited direction and detail. You just say, hey, Mark, just go spend this money. I help you make me sales. Which leads us to step 4. So step 4 is conversions through architecture. You just let the conversions come in through architecture of the system that we're running here, as opposed to through effort and sweating it out. If things are not where we want them to be, we solve for it through the system and not effort. We don't just try to do more for the sake of doing more. We don't just try to brute force with more hard work. We figure out where in the system along these steps we are under leverage and underperforming, and we solve for that. So now let's walk through the agent system that accelerates the execution for us.
Okay, so now you know why you want to be using the hybrid traffic scaling system. Well, now we can show you 2 agents we've built to help you run that process. So this is the first agent here you see on screen. This one is going to help automate scheduling and coming up with ideas for your Facebook page posts. The second one, which I'll just show quickly here, is going to help you come up with ideas and generate blog posts and scheduling them to your Shopify store. So let's start off with this one. This is going to be your Facebook page post scheduling. So if you have a Facebook page, say like this, then you can create these status posts that look something like this, right? And we actually can use this Facebook content planner to schedule your posts, right? You can schedule all these in. But when you want to do that with the scheduler, you have to manually create every single post. And if you're scheduling, let's say a month in advance, and you want to schedule, 3, 4, 5 times per day, that can be very time consuming. So what we're doing here is we're going to help automate that process. Let's come back to the agent for a moment here, and let's just do a quick little demo on putting some of this in place. So this agent here has 3 tools, right? We have a post research tool, we have a status post remixer tool, and we have a status post scheduler tool. So this takes us from doing the research, figuring out what kind of content we want to be adding to your page. Then we're going to help take that content and come up with fresh new ways of saying the same idea, but just in different ways. And then we're going to take those ideas and put them onto your Facebook page itself. So let's start off with the post research tool. Now, this is step number 1. This is where we take a look at some of your competitors. So maybe it's businesses that are in the same industry, the ones that are doing very similar things to you. What you can do is you can actually go and take a look at their page posts, and you can see what's been doing well for them. And then you can take inspiration from it and use some of their posts to help you devise what you're going to add to your own page. You see what has the most amount of likes, shares, comments, and then you take note of those and then see what maybe if you could use that as inspiration for your own posts. Let's say, please provide the last 10 posts from page with ID this. Okay, and also share their engagement. Okay, so what this is going to do is it's going to take this page ID, which is our, quote unquote competitor page, and it's going to essentially do what it says here. Take the last 10 posts and see what the engagement is. So you can see here, okay, there's 1 comment, 0 reactions, and it says test, and it gives you a link to the post. So you can actually study these, and you can go through it, and you can ask the agent, maybe you want to look at the previous 20, 30, and rank them by highest engagement, most comments. And then what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to surface up the posts that are actually very interesting. So that would be the research tool. But then next, what you can do is you can actually use the post remixer to take some of those best posts and make them your own and something new. So what you'll do is we have this spreadsheet here, and let's say you want the original, you have a column with original post, and you'll take some of the best posts that you like. Maybe you'll reword them a little bit yourself. Maybe you're just going to put them here just like that. But what this tool is going to do is it's going to look through this list and then create new versions of that post so that it feels fresh, it feels new, right? And so that's what we're going to do now. So I'm just going to use these examples here, and we're going to say, well, first I'm going to grab the Google Sheet ID, and we're going to say, please remix the posts in sheet this. Okay. We just finished here, and you can see that these options are now showing up. So let's just expand these out a little bit here. Just make them a little bit bigger. So you can see some of them, right? So opportunities don't happen, you create them. Chances are found, they're made. You don't wait for opportunities, you build them, right? So we're saying a similar thing, but in different ways. And so it gives you a bunch of options, and you can actually pick through and select the ones that you like best. Or there's an agent also that's going through the 5 options and deciding this is the one I like best. So you can choose the one that they selected, or you can pick your own. Or if you don't like them, you can actually just generate more. So this is what this tool does, right? It helps you come up with fresh ways of saying the original post in different ways, right? And that original post was gotten by doing research in finding what's already very engaging to your audience, right? Either through competitors or even on your own page, which gives you a better chance of having a post that's going to also get high engagement. Okay, so now that you've remixed it and you've picked out your posts, the next step is to schedule them, right? And so this is the Facebook, the status post scheduler tool. And so we have a little helper sheet as well here. And what this does is it basically automates the process of using the content planner. So instead of having to click through, add something, schedule posts, and waiting for the GUI to load, right? What we can do is we can go back. What we can do is we can actually use this spreadsheet to create them all at once, right? So we can specify the date and time, what the message is. We can specify the background color, right? You see here is a purple, so we can specify the background color. It shows up as a number, but we've got some examples here for you to model off of, just based on this number here. You can kind of get a sense of what it'll look like, and you can add a first comment if you want. And if you're scheduling it for the future, then you would always put this as false. Right, so here are 6 posts that we're going to put all at once, right? From 9/10 all the way to 14th of August. Currently, we don't have anything for those days, right? 9/10 all the way to 14th, so nothing. What we're going to do is we're going to grab our Google Sheet ID, and then we're going to come to our agent and we say, schedule the posts in Google Sheet ID this. Right? And so now we're asking the agent to go ahead, read that spreadsheet with all of our posts and post them, schedule them based on the data that we have right here, right? And so it's running, it's doing its thing. And once it's done, we should be able to see on our content planner that those posts have been scheduled. So we'll just wait for this to finish. Okay, so it's done now. You can see here 6 posts schedule from the provided Google Sheet. Let's come to our content planner and then just give this a quick little refresh, and let's go to the month view. And there you go. You can actually see here 9, 10, 11, 12. You've got all of our posts scheduled. So here we have Too Soft to Take Off, right? That's our post from August 14th. And we have a first comment here, right? So let's come back here, right? We've got our first comment. Learn more, link. I'll be talking a little bit more about what this link is a little bit later. But yeah, so that's the post there. We can look at a different one here, right? This one's got a different color, also has that first comment. We've got this one here, right? So we've got all these different posts scheduled automatically with our agent specified in this Google Sheet here. So That's the Facebook page post scheduler agent, right? To help us guide you through doing the research and then remixing existing posts to help you have something new, and then scheduling those posts to your Facebook page. Now, you may have noticed that on our post, we have a first comment. So learn more here, right? And so it's actually very useful to provide a link in your first comment, right? Because it could be related to the actual post that you have here. So for example, let's say this is too soft to take off. And maybe what you might want to do is you want to add a blog article that talks about your if you're selling t-shirts, then the fabric or the materials that you're using in your t-shirts and how it's so soft, right? And so now what you're doing is you're getting people, you're posting the status, these status posts, right, to get engagement and stuff, but you're also informing people a little bit more about your shirts and getting people to come to your blog post. So that's what that link, that placeholder is for. And it's also what our second agent is going to help with. Let's now go over how we built this agent so that you can build it for yourself. And we start off with a chat trigger. This one is just directly an N8N, but you can use any chat tool that you use. We like to use Slack. That's where we do most of our internal communications. So if it were us, we would connect this to Slack. If you want to know how to do that, we have a video that you can follow. Link is in the description. But the chat trigger is then connected to an AI agent, right? And that AI agent has a chat model, a memory, and the tools that we just kind of went over earlier. So in the agent, we're bringing in the chat message that comes in. And then we have this system prompt here. And so the system prompt kind of guides us through what this agent will do. And it's going to tell the agent about the tools. And then we're just going to give some general guidance on how the agent should behave, and then some examples as well. And so that's what the agent is doing. Next, we have our OpenAI chat model, right? In this case, we're just using GPT 4.1 mini. It's a very economical model, but you could choose any model that you like. GPT-5 recently got released. You don't have to use OpenAI. You can use Claude. You can use DeepSeek, Gemini, any chat model you like, you can include in there. Next, we need a memory, right? So this is just a simple memory here. This just keeps track of the messages back and forth that we're having with the agent. And then we have our tools. So each one of these tools is actually a sub workflow. So we're triggering in another workflow that I'll just be showing in a second right here. And this first one here, the post research tools, I did mention that it's a bit of a work in progress, so I'm not going to show that one in this video. So first, let's take a look at the status post remixer tool. So that is going to be this tool right here, right? And so this tool is going to take in this sheet, as we mentioned before, and it's going to look at the original post and then create 5 options and then select the best option that it thinks, and then gives that back to you in this sheet right here. So let's take a look at the nodes, right? So the first one is a trigger that is basically saying when it's being triggered by another workflow, which is really our agent asking for this to trigger the tool. And what we're going to be taking in is 4 fields, right? So one is the Google Sheet ID. So that's going to be the ID found in the URL right here. Second is the sheet name, which is right here. Third, we have the LLM pick option. So that is a feature that enables whether or not you want AI to show a select option. So this column here is selected by AI. You can turn that off if you don't really want the AI to do it and you want to pick yourself manually. And fourth, additional instructions. So in our chat with the agent, you could give additional options for how you want to remix a post. Maybe you could say you want them funnier or you want them to be longer or shorter. You can add some additional instructions so that AI knows that you don't want to just randomly make it a little bit different, but you want to actually apply your own personality or your own brand criteria on top of this original post. And so you can actually feed additional information like that in there. So it's going to take that in, and we're just basically going to assign the variables here. It just passes through essentially. Then we're going to be using this Google Sheet node to read in the data, right? Which is essentially the original post here. And so I'll share this, which is essentially this original post here. And then next we have a loop, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to loop through every single one of those rows, and we're going to use this basic chain, right? And it's going to execute based on this prompt here, which is just rewrite the message multiple times. If there are additional instructions that you provided from the agent, it's going to include it here in the prompt. And then it's going to spit out 5 options. And it's going to do that because you have this output parser that's going to say we're looking for a list of 5 items. And then in this case, again, we're using GPT 4.1 mini to power this little LLM chain. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take all of those options and bring them together into a single item so that we can bring them into separate fields that we then basically pass to our Google Sheet at the end. And so we're just structuring the data here. That's why we do these 2 steps. And then we loop through and we do it for the next row, right? Until we're done with however many posts that we add in here. So we have 5 here, but you could do much more if you wanted. So next, once we've looped through all of the items in our list, right? So all 5 of these, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be running another basic LLM chain, right? And so this is the option where if you enable AI to pick the best option, right? What it thinks is the best option, then it's actually going to run through this flow. But if you turn it off and you say, you don't actually want to turn that on, which you can set right here, right? It's a little toggle switch. Then it's just going to skip it and then just output the 5 options here without this column. But with it enabled, what it's going to do is it's going to run through this LM chain, as I mentioned, with this prompt. And then it's going to attach that to the rest of the columns that we already have. And then it's going to write it to our Google Sheet. And so that's basically the flow. And that's how we get these different options here. Okay, so now the next tool is our scheduler. So let's open this up. And here is our scheduling tool. So what we're going to be accepting in from the agent is the Google Sheet ID, right? That's the same as before. The sheet name, so that's down here, the sheet name here. It's going to default to sheet 1 if you don't specify it. And then the Facebook page ID, which you can just directly place in here because, I mean, if you're managing one page, then you typically can just hard code it. If you're managing multiple, then maybe you're going to want to set this to let the model define it, and then you can tell the agent which page ID you want to use. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to read in the data. So we have this sheet where we have the date, message, color, first comment, published status. We're going to read this data in, and then we're going to take in the date time, and we're actually going to do a little transformation here so that it turns it into a format that Facebook understands, right? Because right now we're using sort of ISO standard here, but Facebook actually receives it in a different way. So we're transforming it. And then we do 2 API calls. The first API call is to actually make the post. So we have these different fields here, and we're going to actually schedule the post. So that's this post right here, for example. Right, we're scheduling this post. And then the second step is to actually put in the first comment, right? So if you have a first comment that you want to add, then it's going to then do a second API call to make that comment right there. And then that's it. Your Facebook page post would now be published. It'll just loop through and do every single one of these for you. Okay, so that is our Facebook page post scheduling agent, right? Now, earlier, I did allude to something, right? Remember how I was saying that in our posts, we have this comment, and we have this kind of link here that we were talking about. So oftentimes you're going to want this to be a blog post because, maybe you have something like this one here. It says, it's talking about how soft the tees are. So then maybe you want to link to a blog post on your site that are explaining the 5 materials that your t-shirts have that make it very soft, right? And so now you can kind of use this blog article to help sell your shirts. So what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be showing the second agent, which will help create those blog posts. And this is the agent here. Okay, so what we have is, again, an AI agent with a chat model and simple memory that's triggered by a chat. But we have a different set of tools here. So the first one generates headlines, right? So this is going to be, let's say, the title of your blog post. And then it's going to generate an article based on the headline. Then you're going to generate an image prompt. And then we are going to actually generate an image with that prompt. And then we're going to post that article to Shopify. Okay, so let's go run through a demo so that you can see how it works. And then I'll take you through the different nodes so you know how to build it yourself. All right, so let's first pick a topic, right? So we were just earlier talking about, soft materials in a t-shirt. So let's say generate headlines for a listicle about soft materials in a t-shirt. Okay, so our agent is running and it's running this first tool and we should be getting some results back soon. All right, so we've got 10 fear-driven listicle headlines about soft materials in a t-shirt. So let's see. Okay, so I like this one here. Top reasons your t-shirt is causing irritation, how soft materials save you. Okay, so let's take this one and then we'll say generate an article with the headline this. Okay, so now it's going to run the second tool and it's going to generate an article in HTML format based on this headline that we've got here. So we'll just wait for this to finish running. Okay, it's been generated. Would you like me to provide the article in a different format, generate image prompts, or please share the HTML article? Okay, so it just told me it was done. Didn't actually give the HTML itself. So let's get that. Let's get the HTML from the agent. All right, so here we go. So here is the HTML article with that headline. So it gives you sort of the HTML tags and then takes you through the article. So now you can kind of read through it. You can see if you like it. Maybe you want to edit it a little bit. You might do some manual editing. You might ask the agent to modify it a little bit. So there's different things you can do here. But let's just take it for what it is right now. And then what we're going to do is we're going to generate an image. Yeah, okay, so please generate image prompts. Okay, so now it's going to generate some image prompts that we can use for this article. Okay, so let's do, realistic, clean, lifestyle style, minimalist, modern style. Okay, I'm going to pick this one here. And then please generate an image with this prompt. Okay, and so now we're going to actually generate an image using this prompt here. Right, so you can see here that our generate image tool is being run. And so we'll just wait for this to come back. Okay, so here's our image. Now, you can, depending on your brand, you may want it to look a certain way. You may, your prompt may need to be adjusted a little bit. But you can do that, right? You can adjust the prompt, you can generate more images until you get something that you're a little happy with, or you can use this image as a starting point and then take it to something like Canva and you can edit the image so that it fits your brand a little bit better. But essentially, now we have an image, we have an article, and we have a headline, right? And so what we can do now is we can take all this information and then put it into Shopify. So I have this spreadsheet here. just sort of templated it out, right? So we have a blog title, we've got the blog handle, which is just this Shopify blog. I've just got an old demo blog post in here. So the blog is inside of the news, right? So the news blog. So I have this spreadsheet here, and we're going to use this to help us upload. But the information we're going to need is the title, right? So that's the name of the blog article, blog handle, which is the blog that the article sits in, right? So this is a blog article, and then this here is the blog, so it's news. So this article is inside this blog. We have the HTML body, right? So that's just the body of the article. The summary HTML, if you want, this is optional. Tags, right? So the tags that you want in your article. If we go into this example here, we've got some tags here. And then we have the handle of the article, which is going to show up in your article URL. Author name, the image URL. What you're going to do is you're going to actually upload that image in your files area here, right? And then you're going to create that link and then paste that into here. So, right? So it's hosted in the on your Shopify store itself. Then if you want some alt text for your image, you can put that in there. And then here you can define when you want to publish it. If you want it to be published right away, if you want it to just be in draft, then you can just leave this blank. Or if you want to schedule it, then you can put an actual date into the future. So let's just use this sort of template data right here, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to say, please schedule the blog posts in Shopify using Google Sheet ID. And then we're going to grab our ID right here and paste it here. And then our agent is going to run this last tool here, right? Post article to Shopify by reading the data in our Google Sheet, right? And now the blog posts have been posted. So we can come back to our Shopify. We can come back out. And before, when we only saw one, now we have two new blog articles. And you can see here, one of them is actually scheduled, right? It's scheduled to the date that we had specified right here. And the other one is just set in draft. So you can just schedule that afterwards yourself, or you can make it go live right away if you like. You have a system here where you can generate headlines for the topic that you want to talk about, generate an article based on that headline, create an image for your article, and then take all that information, put it into your spreadsheet, and then push it live or schedule it into your Shopify store. So let's now take a look at the nodes so you can know how we built this. Okay, so similar to the previous agent, we have our chat node, right? And then we can attach any chat tool you like, again, like Slack or Telegram, whatever you like to use. Next, we have our AI agent. The AI agent has a system prompt. So let's just take a look at it like this. It's saying it's a blog agent that's going to use the tools that we just described, right? We generate headlines and then write an article. And so it's just telling the agent what the tools to use and then some additional instructions that we provided it. Our OpenAI chat model, again, we're using GPT 4.1 mini. Again, we're also using a simple memory of the context window to just being able to have some memory on the chat that we're having. Okay, now we have our 5 different tools. Again, these are 5 sub workflows, and these ones are a little bit simpler than what we saw previously. So let's just go through them. The first one, generate headlines, right here. It's actually just a basic LLM chain, right, with its own prompt. And so what we're doing here is we actually set it up so that each one of these tools has its own purpose-driven prompt. We find oftentimes that when each tool has a very specific purpose, you can tailor your prompt to that purpose and get a better result. You could always just have it all into a single agent, which could work. We decided to do it this way because we feel that you can be a lot more specific with your prompting and target the type of results that you really want. So in this case, we have a very basic prompt like this, but for yourself, you can actually edit this prompt to get your headlines to really become exactly in the voice of your brand, right? And so you can give all sorts of additional prompting in here to tailor it to suit your needs. But what we're doing here is we're just saying we are going to create headlines, right? And it's, it's pretty basic here. You can just read it. Again, you may want to add additional details to fit your own brand voice. Okay. Secondly, we have a generate article HTML. So we have another basic LLM chain, and we are going to be prompting it like this, right? We give it some details of what kind of headlines we want to use, right? Because that's what we're feeding it. Then we have the audience that we want to serve, right? So you can give that in your chat prompt, a voice we want to use, and any other additional details, right? So you can, again, if you want to hard code some prompt details into your LLM chain, you can do it here. Or if you want to give some of those additional details when chatting with the agent, you can do that as well. Okay, so next we have our generate image prompt tool, right? And so here we are generating hero image prompts for our blog post. And so you could use different image generation models. And so you could specify in the agent so that the tool knows what kind of model you're using. If you don't specify anything, it's just going to assume it's DALL-E because that's what we have set up here, right? But if you like to use Midjourney or some other generation tools, you can provide some of that information, and then the agent can tailor itself a little bit more towards those models. Again, you can add additional prompting here if you like to tailor the image prompt to suit your brand's voice. And you can also just share some of that information in the chat itself so that the agent passes it through. Next, we have the image generation, right? So here we just have the generate an image tool here. So we are using DALL-E, right? So we just take in the prompt and we generate an image using the prompt that we shared with it. And finally, we post our article to Shopify, right? So we have our Google Sheet here. We take all the data that we got from our previous steps, right? With previous tools. We paste it all in here, and then we can build out all these different blog posts all at once, and then we can schedule them however we like. And we will run this final tool here, right? And so in this final tool, we'll get the Google Sheet, right? The ID, and then we also provide the store name, which generally speaking is going to be hard coded because you're working with one store. If you are working with multiple stores, then you could also let the model define it and then tell the model that which one you want to work with. But I think it's generally better to just work with one store here. So next we get the rows from our sheet, right? From here. And then we use this code node here to essentially just take the data that we're getting from our Google Sheet and determining what the parameters are for a published date and is published. Now, it just, without getting into the details of it, depending on whether or not we have a date assigned here, the results need to be a little bit different. So we're just basically preparing the data for our API call to Shopify. And so here we are calling the Shopify API, and we are basically passing the information from our blog posts to generate and we'll run this tool here. So this is the tool that's going to take the sheet and bring all of your articles into Shopify so that you have your blog posts right here. So we'll start off with this node here, right? So we're going to get the Google Sheet ID and the store name. Next, we are going to be grabbing all of the different articles, which are rows of this sheet here, and bringing them into N8N. Next, we have this code node. So this code node is just going to prepare the published date data and also this is published parameter so that it's ready for when we want to post the article. Without getting into it too much, depending on whether or not you have added a date into the published at column here, the way we prepare the data is slightly different. So that's what this code node is doing. Next, we're going to get the blog ID, right? So if we specified that we want to put this article in the news blog, then we actually need to grab that blog ID. So we'll do that with an API call so that we can use that ID in our posting API call. We got this edit. We've got this edit fields node. It's just going to basically collate all the information together and prepare it so that it's ready for our post blog article node, which is just an API call that takes all the data that we provided previously and post it into Shopify so that it ends up like this. So that's our different tools. And this is our agent that helps you generate headlines, writes the articles, gets your images, and then finally posts it to Shopify. So that's our hybrid traffic scaling method and why it's so powerful to combine both paid ads and organic traffic instead of thinking it's either or. Now, if you want to download the workflows we shared in this video instead of building them from scratch, then check out the first link in the description below to get a trial to Stress-Free Scaling Syndicate. This is where you get access to all of our tools, methods, and approaches to scale your Shopify store. That means inside, you'll find all of our AI agent workflow templates so that you don't need to build them from scratch. You get a copy of our Shopify theme that we use to make $4.3 million in sales and counting with our own Shopify store. And you get our stress-free scaling method for running Facebook ads without having to babysit them for 40 hours a week. But best of all, you'll have access to myself and Andrew for personal help through the nuanced challenges of scaling your own store. So check out the first link in the description below, and we'll see you inside.